Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and call our work session to order. Our first order of business is gonna be Ethan Frazier. He's wanting to be de-annexed from Argo into Trustful. He came before us at the last meeting, and at that meeting, he said that the property that he's wanting to de-annex had been given to him through his family, and he's wanting his children to be able to attend Trustful school, and so therefore he's wanting to be de-annexed from the City of Argo. So do y'all have any? He doesn't, but he said if he had any future children, he would like to do it. Anybody have anything to say?
I've never been in favor of annexing property out of our city.
I think you have to look at it.
I'm on record for saying that.
Well, I think you have to look at everybody individually. We're here to serve people, make their lives better. And it's just granted, it ain't like, it's where he grew up. He grew up next door to him in the house next door. It's his grandmother's place to start with.
We did a map today, and there's areas around it still Argo. Matter of fact, there's 10 and 10.
Well,
Trustful has 10 parcels right in there, and Argo has 10.
you
So-
see everybody else in Argo's across the road. And there's a thing, something we're going in the future have to deal with too, is we're gonna have to share responsibility for that road with Trustful. And especially,
You're talking about Will Keith Road?
whichever one this is that runs
That's okay.
between them. We're gonna end up having to share responsibility for it. And especially if we do have that one piece of property, our lawyer needs to look into that for us.
Yeah, probably not first.
Yeah, but that's nothing to do with the road up here, this road.
Still on that side of the road.
And we may have to end up maintaining part of that road, one half,
When you're talking about honor key,
both of them now. They're
it's fresh pay.
10 years from now, it won't be. Like I said, it's a family thing to them, and these are relatives that live around them, and they ride to school together or try to.
If I recall, when,
These are all people, I understand that, those are all people that bought out, and, well, that's David Gould right there, and he's part of it too.
when Foxwood and all them were de-annexed several years back, I thought that there was something said that it was gonna be a one-time thing. Anybody wanted out, they were gonna have to, do it then.
But the road, I don't think that's even the right lot,
Yeah, it is.
is it?
Yeah, I rode down there, that's the right lot. Sure is.
Well, they don't live
And
on
Honor Keith is the one that they fresh paved all the way down. Will Keith is not paved, it's paved all the way down there. They rode down that one.
Well,
According to Jefferson County and St. Clair.
The house they're
One right
talking
across
about's not on the corner.
I know, it's back.
Yeah, this is, what I'm looking at is showing it to be on the corner.
No, but his lot runs all the way to the corner. It doesn't run all the way to the corner.
That's David Gould's on the corner.
There's no house on the corner. There is on the other side of the street, but not on that side, there's not.
We're not looking at it right. There's something wrong here with the map.
There's an older house that sits down there on the right.
Well, this house is a newer brick one that sits on the hill before you get down to the intersection.
According to
It's-
according to the address that Tommy and I pulled up, using Mr. Frazier's address, this is the piece of property right there.
So on that lot, where is his house based? Do we know that? Doesn't have to be.
Well, okay, so this is the old white house, old white. What was the man's last name?
Frazier,
No, I know that, the people he bought from.
Cunningham. He bought from Doris Cunningham, sold to Ethan Frazier in May the 23rd of 2014.
The house I'm understanding that they're wanting out is across the road over here, is that one, but it's already out, if this is right. And that's,
But there's the
that's
thing,
David
it's
Gould's
Jefferson
house.
County.
Yeah, I understand that. And this is the St. Clair County line. That would be his grandparents' old house, the first house, and that's the old white farmhouse. It sits on the right-hand side of the road as you're going
He
down.
said he owned two pieces of property right in here. From
Yeah,
what he-
that one and the one right behind his own building.
You're talking about, it's already in trust.
That's
One
the
piece of
house
property.
there, that he owns that property and that house right there is the house he's talking about. So it is that full corner.
Okay, see, that's
That's
his,
the one he got.
that's where-
last week.
I misunderstood. I thought he wanted this house out. That was his grandmother and grandfather's first house, then they built this. That's David Gould's house.
The house that's right across the street right here, that one is in Argo too, because he told us that night it was in Argo.
Yeah, David Gould lives in that house.
And it's Argo.
And this was Mr. and Miss Frazier's, is the boy's grandparents. And then this was their house before they
That's
built that
his-
house.
That's his aunt that lives there. is what he
It's
told
all
us.
family in there, most of it still is. David's his uncle, and his daddy lives right along here in one of these houses.
This is part number.
I brought mine so I could bring it up on the other stuff, on the other property.
Look at the county tax, county GIS stuff, I can't tell which one it is, which line it is.
Did you see that?
I would-
That's that line.
Well, I've got mine pulled up on that other, the Margaret stuff. But I'm satisfied,
He owns that lot too.
yeah. What's, what I'm saying, that is the old farmhouse. This was his grandmother and grandfather's place when they died, but this was their place beforehand. They built a more modern brick house up here, they lived there beforehand.
We're gonna bring it up tonight if somebody wants to bring it up for a vote or what, so everybody's had a chance to look at this. And, some of you's even wrote out there and looked. So I think, that he's wanting an answer from us, so we'll bring it up, if somebody wants to bring it up. it's up.
I'll make a motion, and if somebody wants to second, okay, I feel like I'm on by myself on it, but I'll make a motion, and if nobody seconds it, so be it, and if we'll be through with it one way or the other. If people want to vote for it, that's fine too.
Okay, the update on the NLC conference, Amanda, you want to tell them what you've done and where we stand with that?
The conference registrations are in, and then we have 3 rooms reserved. The credit card won't be charged for the rooms until February 17th, and they're only going to take a 10% of the total until check-in. So when you check in, they'll charge the rest of the price on the card too. But as far as the reimbursement for the conference itself, that'll be due the 20th of this month. So credit cards due around the 23rd, so if we can get reimbursement for that, and then I'll get totals this week for you guys for the conference.
Okay, well, you want to go ahead and do it, the update on the training with Andrea?
She'll be here the 30th, so that's Friday morning. And August is balanced and closed out. It's not closed, I'm sorry. August is balanced, and so we're going to close it out Friday and begin on September's. And so once it's closed out, the budget will be ready to be looked at. So the numbers will be ready.
Okay, there's going to be resolution 2016-12-02, and Tony's going to be, Aldridge is going to be handling that. He's got a resolution to read. Since this involves a relative of mine, I've abstained from anything, so Mayor Pro Tem Aldridge is going to be handling that. Does anybody have anything to add to that? Okay.
Is there a certain way that, let me ask Scott, is there a certain way we need to handle that since what this resolution authorized has already been done, essentially?
Well, there's,
That release has been signed.
right, if you wanted to pass the resolution that's before you you might want to insert ratification of the actions previously taken, i.e. signature. You all voted on the subject matter last time, and you approved basically what you've already done. But you want to formalize it in the form of a resolution, you need to insert authorizing and ratifying. So, either Amanda or I want to just insert an approval / ratification somewhere throughout the document.
Do we need to table this resolution then until the next meeting to do that?
I don't think so. I think you just go forward and approve it as it's written, understanding that you'll be also ratifying the actions you already took.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything?
Did you say, Scott, that I meant to list in there that it would be a ratification? Is that what you suggested?
Right, this would be a, for instance, if I may, and you and I can talk about it too. For instance, authorizing the mayor pro tem signature on the settlement agreement with State Farm, and authorizing his signature, authorizing and ratifying his signature. Basically, you're putting in writing that you're authorizing him to sign, and ratifying it because he has previously done it. This is just formalizing what the action previously taken.
Okay, Ronnie wanted us to bring up the PO and receipt discussion again.
Yeah, we need to set some limits, dollar amount limits on that, how much they can spend without mayor's approval, and then how much they can spend without council approval on PO. If not, it's an open checkbook.
What is your
I
suggestion?
think 500 is the mayor's approval. It's up to y'all, I mean, that's,
I think 500 is a little much.
but say 250.
So what you're saying is the amount of money that.
Amount of money that they can get the PO for prior to going and purchasing something, or they gotta have the receipt to purchase
We
before she
talked about
approves
that
it.
last time,
Yeah.
except
We didn't
establish an amount.
establish any numbers on it.
What do the other towns do?
I haven't been able to check anybody either.
Are you familiar with?
There are, it's all across the board.
Yes.
It is, and, for instance, some do it with authorization, as long as it's budgeted, budgets with that detail. If it's, some do it with a dollar limit, and the amount is all over the board. And, so if it's,
I know Trussell's they've got a limit you can spend up to without having to go to the mayor.
So you're saying you want them to be able to purchase something up to $500 without a PO?
No, with the PO, but anything over the amount of $500, they have to have your approval
that's,
to be able to
that was my understanding.
spend over $500.
Yeah.
That was my
And then over a certain, whatever another dollar amount, it has to come from the council, so.
And she's not
whatever
supposed to
you said,
issue a purchase order number unless
Unless they
it's
have
below
written
that number.
documentation, yeah.
Well, we also decided to put a dollar amount on something that could be purchased in case of emergency.
Emergencies,
for
yeah.
lack of a better terminology.
Yeah, birds.
Lower than that, it doesn't require your approval.
What would allow $100, they can buy up to $100 on the PO, then anything over that has to go to Betty, and then anything over 500, it has to go before the council.
Well,
I think if it's budgeted, if it's in a budgeted amount.
well, but it, like the,
If it's in the budget.
putting diesel fuel in the fire engine, you're gonna be running more than 100. Do we do it with a credit card or?
Yeah.
Mike, do you want to come up and explain how you do it now?
And the police chief sitting back there too, they, well,
Well, he's talking about the fire department right now, and then we're going to get James up here too.
well, they both be done this summer.
Basically, we just work within our budget, what's actually a budgeted item. The only thing we have more or less a freedom kind of sort of thing to spend. As long as it's within our budget, we make purchases as needed. Anytime a purchase is made, a PO is made out and presented with the bill. She's under instruction not to pay anything unless it has a purchase order attached to it. some things you just can't purchase and have an exact dollar amount.
Okay, Ann and I noticed something the other day, like, for instance, we noticed a file cabinet had been bought for $290-something, in there, and I'm assuming you bought it for the office back there,
Right.
or something
Made that
like.
move, we had to secure it, that's what I discussed with you that day. Things have to be secured.
Okay, but you didn't discuss buying a file cabinet, for the $290. So, Ronnie, you're saying like if he needed to go buy a file cabinet, he has the authority to do that without consulting me, but then, just as long as he does a PO, is that what
He
you're?
does the PO, yeah.
And has
To a
it
certain
just-
dollar amount if it's in his budget, and if you set budget restraints, then they have to
250
come
would
to
be a
you.
little bit too low.
Yeah, I'm thinking about stuff that's not in the regular budget.
Budget, yeah.
The stuff that's not in the regular budget comes before us anyway, don't it?
There's things like bunker code, the code itself is gonna be almost $700.
But that would be a budget item.
But it's a budget item, exactly.
I think when they talk to some cities and see
Why
what
don't
we
we
do.
look back and see what your average purchase, we got canceled checks or something, we can look back at the check register and kind of get an average of what day-to-day operating cost on items like that. Is that,
Or how many unforeseen, non-budgeted items would fall within that
That's what I'm
category.
talking
I think that's
about.
what importance.
Can I ask, and I've seen different interpretations of budgeted items. For instance, you could say, equipment, well, that's
That's a
very
big-
broad, so it could be budgeted, but it could be under, $5,000 line item that says equipment. So be sure you're understanding and authorizing what you
Mhm.
think you are. For instance, I've seen some instances where other cities or department heads, if it's equipment and they get close to the end of the year and if they know they're not going to spend that, it's inside their budget, and so they use it for something else inside their budget. So you got to understand what he's thinking, or understand what you're thinking about a budgeted item. And so if it's strictly budgeted and you're going to hold the departments to that, the way it's written in the budget, then you're doing what you say you're doing.
we want to be responsible, but we don't want to cripple them at the same time.
Exactly. That's why you have to understand, what you're.
The final line comes to us that we're responsible for where the money goes at the end, but still don't want to cripple
As
them.
long as you understand what budget that item is. If
Can I
that-
say something? I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything or not during work sessions, but as an accountant, I've never had a client or a business that didn't have limits on budgeted items. Because even though it's in the budget, doesn't mean the money's in the bank. So as a precaution, I just wanted to remind y'all of that.
While you're here, Mike, would you go ahead and, talk about what happened with the jail, the phone and stuff in the truck?
We had to make an emergency purchase, and it's not a budget item, but it's an emergency like a repair. We use a AFFF foam, aqueous form filming foam. It allows us to fight a gasoline or oil or anything that you're not supposed to spray water on to fight fire. That allows us to do that. It's a chemical that's added to the water and sprays that comes to a foam. It makes a blanket and it cools the fire and eliminates the oxygen coming to the fire, basically. It's an extremely expensive. It's about $888, best I can tell. We ordered 6 5-gallon pails of it. That's how much it costs to replace it. I don't know exactly dollar amount, because they couldn't tell me, because you have to ship that by freight. Freight doesn't have where they can figure in their computer exactly what it costs, like if they were sent by UPS or something, it's already predetermined. So it's about $888. I'm asking for a $900 approval. That's what I talked to the mayor about. But anyway, it's supposed to be a consistency of about a syrup, a white syrup. This, for some reason, something got contaminated or something in the system, and it turned into like a jelly. So of course the pump that pulls it, injects it into the water, and the big pump in the fire truck wouldn't digest it, wouldn't pull it through, it just wouldn't run down to the pump. It was a big fat mess is what it was, but we spent some time, about 2.5 hours, cleaning all that out of the tank and out of the system, and we got it out, we just have to have new to put it back in. And we went ahead and ordered it because we don't know when the next fire is gonna be, you know, when the next time we're gonna have it. So we just, me and the mayor and councilperson made a decision to go ahead and order it because we gotta have it.
Has that happened before? I mean, is that something highly
It does happen, when it goes out of date, usually that happens, that phone's about 4 years old, but it should have a longer shelf life. We talked to the manufacturer, they can't give us an answer, but they said it's got contaminated, that was their reasoning. It's basically a sealed system. I mean, it's got a cap where you can pour it out of a 5-gallon jug into the system, but that, in other words, they're not gonna warranty it.
In your knowledge, has that ever happened before? Have you ever heard of it ever happening?
Phone does go, yeah, it does go bad, it does go bad, and that's what happens when it goes bad.
How many buckets does the engine hold?
We keep
For
6
this
pails
device?
on each truck.
You keep what?
We keep 6 pails on each truck.
Did you find out what the lifespan was if it's inside the truck itself?
They won't
Out
guarantee.
of the pail? If the
After
pail's a
you
20
break the seal on the pail, they won't guarantee anything.
Okay.
That's
Because the
about
pail's
right.
a 20 to 25 year lifespan, is what it says
Right.
shelf life.
If it's sealed and if there's a lot of ifs in there.
Yeah.
It doesn't freeze.
Properly stored.
Should we be keeping a few extra pails on hand?
That's what I asked you. I'm just.
Usually if we use it, it's billed out to whoever we used it for. It's considered a hazardous material spill after that. And by state law, whoever the trucking company is or whatever has to reimburse us for that. But there's nobody to bill or reimbursement, it just goes bad in the tank.
We've never had that happen in Argo before, since you've been here.
We've had some, on the brush truck, we've had a few things go like that. We're only talking a gallon or 2 at a time, not a major, the whole system going.
Has it come in yet?
No, no.
How much do you put into the system at a time? 5 gallons or the whole?
You put, there's a 20-gallon tank on top of the truck, and it mixes it with anywhere from 3 to 6% mixture.
But it takes four buckets to load the truck.
Yes.
So you've got 4 buckets in reserve that we won't unseal until.
We'll have 2,
Up to
we're at 6 pails. We ordered the minimum amount without, some more approval to get any more, but we needed that just to keep us what we needed to do to fight fire.
I think we need, if it takes 4, we need to keep 4 on reserve too, if it lasts
So
20
you have
years.
you have to order at least 6 each time you order?
We can order 5 at a time, or, 1 pail at a time was a 5-gallon jug. It was just so expensive, I didn't want, we don't want to keep, without making a plan, obviously like what y'all talking about tonight.
But we need to be able to replenish the truck if they go out and use it.
But if you use 4 tonight, then you'll have 4 in reserve.
No.
You have 2.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't have any for the other,
He's got it on the truck.
you only got it for 1 truck.
I got, on each truck has its own setup.
Yeah.
I have another truck we could use,
Right.
but that particular system required a certain kind of phone, a certain mixture.
The 2 trucks are not compatible.
That's another thing they said, if you mix any of the foam outside the same batch, you have a chance of gel. Basically, they've made it that they've touched and beat all around the subject, blaming it on you for any reason it would go gel.
My thing would be, you as a department head, figure out why it went gel, if it were our responsibility, just to see, just for your own knowledge of knowing
Right.
what could have happened and what steps can be taken to ensure that that doesn't happen, if it was something that was even done here at all. That might be something you could be looking at from now and forever.
That's why our
and never
conversation with the
figure out.
manufacturer was about things
Right.
like that. I couldn't tell you without being a chemist or something like that.
Right.
But it's like paint you've opened or anything, once you've opened it, the shelf life, you go back to it.
I don't have a good answer for you because they weren't able to supply me with a good answer, the people that made it. I wish I could, but
And gas in a carburetor, it gels over time, even though you know it's not
Anybody else have
getting
any more
contaminated.
questions for Mike? Thank you, Mike. James, would you mind coming up and telling us about your PO system and
Well, we do the same thing Mike does, we get the bill in, but talking about our gas bills, we've got a gas card like Fuel Man. When you put the card in, it's got an operated number, that number's assigned to that officer. You put the mileage in, it's assigned to that car. End of the month, you'll see there's a bill, it runs about, what, 1,000, 1,200 a month, something like that. But other pills, we get like uniforms, we'll get the bill from McCain's, we'll put the purchase order on the bill and bring it and give it to Amanda.
And that's what you do too, right?
So you bring the purchase order to Amanda.
And we've got our own purchase orders out there, it's got Argo Police Department on it. Just like his, it's got Argo Fire Department on
What
it.
we're trying to do is get.
We put the purchase order, we'll write McCain's uniform, what it's for.
So y'all don't get a purchase order before you order, you go ahead and order, then bring the purchase order?
Bring the bill and the purchase order and give it to Amanda.
See, what we're trying to eliminate is we want to make sure that the expenditures that are being made in the departments are necessary. So we're trying to put a system in place that shows that you get the purchase order from the clerk to start with, and then when she gives you that purchase order, then you purchase what you're going to get, and then you bring the receipt back to her. That's what
we've been doing, everything's just budgeted item, we put it in, but we can do it either way.
The way you want to do it, I understand what you're saying, but if I damage a flashlight on fire, when one firefighter damage one of our flashlights, we have to replace it. That's not a line item per se ticket on our budget, but it would come out of our equipment budget.
But what we're saying is, we're gonna give you can buy a flashlight. We're trying to establish what limit y'all need. Y'all tell us what limit y'all think you need. Is it $500 purchase? Above that's a purchase order number, or,
Still gotta have a purchase order number.
yeah, you know,
Anything that says police and fire on it is expensive.
yeah, say that way.
What does the flashlight cost? Let's just say you said a flashlight, what does the flashlight cost?
The flashlights like the stream lights like we use, the small ones range anywhere from 120, and they go on up to $250.
But they ought to be able to buy that without us have a meeting.
So does somebody want to set a limit as to what that they should be allowed to spend without a purchase order?
That's what I'm asking y'all, what do y'all think's reasonable?
I think you gotta tell us what you think's reasonable.
Because it's not just gonna be you, it's some of your men and stuff too. You know, we all gotta be responsible.
I mean, do you spend over $500 at a time? I know you do with phones and stuff like that.
Right, I
But
mean, $500 would work for me. I mean, it's just a matter of coming to the mayor and saying, I got this coming up, we need to make this purchase.
As long as we know it's coming up, we can bring it to you.
It's just being accountable for taxpayer dollars, it's
Yeah.
not.
But like maintenance, we don't know what, it's a line item in maintenance, but it's a dollar amount. It's not an alternator, tire. It's, we don't know what's gonna happen.
But you'll know when shop calls you and say, hey, it's gonna be X amount of dollars,
Right, yeah.
then you know what you gotta come to the mayor
Correct.
and get done.
It's just hard to fine tune. There's no way we know what's gonna happen throughout the year.
But we need to
We
make
know what
sure,
some
we
things
need to
we
know
want,
that
but-
we can get the purchase order that day and carry it to the people.
In the past, when I've had a lot of things come up during the year that wasn't actually a line item, but it was equipment, and the state of Alabama changes the rules on us on a regular basis as well. Different things they require to have in the EMS bags and, medical equipment you gotta have. So you just gotta go out and buy it, you have no choice. But just say you gave me $10,000 for equipment that year, something in the past, what I've done in my budget is something's been sacrificed to make that purchase. So that at the end of the year, it's still not over $10,000, if that makes sense. That's what we've done in the past. We don't have,
Yeah, that was the last thing that was said.
We're saying they can issue their own purchase orders for up to 500, and then
No, I think they still need to come.
You still gotta come to Amanda and get a purchase order.
for a $25 flashlight.
I mean, they can spend up to, everywhere y'all, limit y'all set, but I still think they need to have a purchase order to be able to turn it, so they can turn that back into Amanda, so she knows what's been purchased, and whether it be on a credit card or.
So $500 with purchase order, no approval required. And then anything above that, mayoral approval required and purchase.
Everything
We're
needs a
saying the
purchase
same
order.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every bill we got done purchase order.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, that's- we're saying the same thing.
So what is y'all's limit? What, y'all wanna set their limit as to what they can spend?
Does 500 suit y'all?
No worries.
All right.
That's what else I said,
And if that don't work, we'll address it again in 6 months or something. Don't that sound right?
You all right with that?
$500 with purchase order, no approval required, and above 500 mayoral approval.
They're still turning their receipts though, right?
Yeah, they still have to
Yeah,
have a receipt
they-
with all purchase
The-
orders.
They always turn in the purchase order and the receipt together.
Okay. So you're gonna bring that up?
And then that 500 is within their budget. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Operating budget.
Yeah.
That's the-
$500 purchase order, get your approval, to Amanda, bring the receipts back after the purchase.
Yeah,
Is that the procedure you're
That's what
understanding?
I'm.
you have to match them up with the purchase order.
Yeah.
That, we do, everybody's office does it, I don't mind that.
Anybody else have anything else on that? Okay, Joe, the eight-door rental tax, which is the Alabama Department of Revenue, that, they were, came before us last time discussing the rental tax. We need to vote whether we want to do that or not. Anybody got anything to say about that?
I think we need to tie it to them pursuing our sales tax better. You know, building my house, I realized we're missing a lot of sales tax. And I asked them about it, and they said they were looking into it, but we need to make sure they are looking into it.
I believe what she said is they were gonna try to help with the zip code.
That's the problem. Yeah, we got 3 zip codes, but we gotta deal with it.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win situation. I mean, it's not anything.
But we still need to stipulate that they're gonna work on our sales tax too, not just the rental.
Do you want to bring that up, Amy? First vote on it tonight?
I'm all for it.
Council, they had an informal discussion with me, they reiterated that to me verbally, that they would be working on improving the sales tax receipts and revenues. And in the event that the city saw that there was a taxpayer not remitting, that they would be happy to collect, whether buying through an audit or what have you. And so that was my understanding.
What's
verbally.
happening is, I bought appliances from Lowe's that were delivered here. I've got an Odell address, and I looked down through there, and the taxes were paid to Odell.
Because of the zips. so-
And they've gotta go through and do their homework and find out where we're at. And my lumber was the same way. And we're all paying the taxes, but we're letting them go somewhere else because of the zip code thing, the trustful address, you know what I'm talking about.
So you want me to make a motion
I
to
checked
utilize their
that.
services?
Hey, Lowe's.
Anything you had delivered to you,
If at the point of purchase, you specify that those taxes go to Argo, would
No.
that help it off?
no.
Because it doesn't have a zip code, it's the zip code wrong.
We've got an Argo zip code now down at the Argo Village, it's our own individual
Is there a zip code? with it?
zip code, yeah.
What is it?
It's posted on front of the building. I don't know, I didn't notice it till we were having the parade stuff the other day. But it was Argo
I didn't know we
and
had.
got a
a
little
zip.
zip code there, what? The drugstore's got a little post office.
Well, maybe we
service
better pay a
thing
visit to that drugstore because I've never noticed that.
Yeah, I think that
The number
comes
of
off the
the-
trust.
Well, it's a separate, it's a different zip code numbers up there.
Post office. Whatever post office you receive.
I think that's market.
Zip code you have.
Trust me.
So I bet that'd be
That's
true.
Margaret, that's Margaret mailbox.
Do what?
That's Margaret mailbox,
Margaret's?
City Margaret.
So it's Margaret's.
Where at? At
That's
the,
by the drugstore.
why is it Margaret's mailbox?
Got me. Got their own post office.
We got 4 zip codes.
Never paid any.
And none of them are ours.
Okay, anybody have anything else on that? Okay, Discover Magazine, they're wanting to do the article on, the City of Argo. They've done one on Springville, Odenville, Margaret, so they're asking to do one on, the City of Argo. The cost for that is $1,068. Corky and I met with Ms. Pappas, along with his father and, some of his relatives. They got some names of some of the people that have lived here, Ramona Carroll, Miss McCombs, Corky's dad and stuff. Also sent them a copy of the magazine, the book that was done on the history of the City of Argo. They're wanting to do this, and so if we do it, it's going to be a cost of $1,068.
I think that's pretty reasonable.
But it's really promoting some of our business, because
Well,
they're going to be going around talking.
I think we're buying a one-page ad is what we're doing, and then they're doing a big spiel on Argo too.
Right, they're also going to be going around talking to several of our businesses, trying to promote some of the business in the City of Argo. I know they're going to be talking to Williams Orchard, Buckeyes, Consigning Classics,
Matthews Manor.
Matthews Manor, Crazy Horse, the Gun Shop. They're going to be talking to several different businesses, trying to promote some of the businesses in the city.
Is this like a one-time deal?
Yeah.
You have to do it now, or is it something you can wait on?
Well, they're trying to visit every city in St. Clair County to get everybody in there.
I'd rather do it now than wait.
And she's giving us a discount on it. I think she said, what did she say it was to start with, Corky?
It's 20% or something. It's marked on.
1335, isn't it?
Okay, but
No, it's $1,068.
Right, the initial price.
it's handwriting up in the corner of it there somewhere that tells how much the discount is. Okay, yeah, it's right there in the bottom,
Right.
1068.
Yeah, but I was talking about what the original price was.
Yeah, it's 13.
1335.
Yeah. I think it was 20%, she said.
And I know Corky and said they're taking out an ad in there because that was.
I had already committed before we ever heard from them.
His business turns 50 years old this year, so he's gonna do something personal.
I had been waiting for this time, because we couldn't remember if we started in 66 or 67.
So we need to know tonight, because they need an answer on this, so if we're gonna do it, we need to.
I definitely support it.
You know, that's a lot of money, and we've done a lot of money already without a budget. Is the only problem I have. If we don't have a budget,
This is with Douglas too far, so we got enough.
well, I know.
I think $1,000 is a very small amount for what you see on.
And it just won't be this one page ad. It's a story too. And you look at the other towns, that's kind of what they do.
They just got through doing one on Springville, and before that, I think it was Margaret. They did one on Odenville. They're trying to get each city highlighted in the magazine.
So you have to make a decision on it now.
Yeah, it comes out and
Yeah, it comes out.
it's got to be, this is all got the artwork and everything got to be in by January the 3rd or 4th. Do what? Yeah, that's what the picture will make the next couple of weeks.
So we'll bring it up, and then everybody can vote on how they choose to vote on that. Okay, it's been brought to our attention that the railing over here at the end, the policemen are having trouble getting around when they have to come, when on court day, to be able to get to if they have to arrest someone, they're having trouble getting around. They have to either jump over that thing or jump over this. So they're asking if they can take out that little section right at the end down there, or fix some kind of little chain down there, so that if they have to come through that way, they can. James and them can probably tell you a little bit better than what I can or Tommy. Tommy, do you know what they're asking?
Yes, ma'am, just for the very end, we just want to take that, foot and a half off and just put a chain there. That way the officer can actually, we have an officer stationed on that corner, and he can just walk right through instead of having to walk all the way around. It's just that very end, the iron on the very end.
But you're not taking anybody out that way.
No,
It's only for
it's
his
not gonna be an
access
exit or
only.
anything, that's just, it will be a entrance for emergency purposes only.
Okay.
If the officer has to
It's
sit
an
down on the
exit,
judge.
you've got to make it bigger than what it is. You've got
Well,
to
the
put
judge
something in.
didn't want people to be able to come and go.
Yeah.
We don't have a ramp on that side, we
Yeah,
don't have
they
enough
do.
room for a ramp.
And they're-
So we just want to make it just where they have access to it, but no one else uses it.
Okay.
It's all bolted, it's all bolted, that's what I, yeah, all the is bolted.
But yes, it does have a lot of strength being that way. We may have to, turn it around and
Oh, yeah.
set it on the floor, bolt it to the side.
We'd have to have a new piece of paper for the steps down.
Yeah, but I think we can just run it down and set it on this floor and bolt it to this side of that.
Was the
column.
judge requesting this?
The judge did not request it, we told the judge what we thought we needed to do, and he agreed to it.
So if we contact the people who installed it, they probably be the best ones to make adjustments.
Herschel's the one that had it installed with some company, so I don't remember.
No, we got receipts.
But we do need to have the chain there or something, because the judge requested, he didn't want everybody to be able to just herd through there which way he wanted, one way in, one way out, and then, but, yeah, the police need to get in there, they need to do.
Right, yeah.
And that'd be yours, and if you want to bring it up, brought it on tonight, put it down, put the train in there. Does anybody have anything else they have? That's all I have on the agenda, anything on the work session. Anything else you think of, anybody else have anything to add?
We can go over that one.
It's on the agenda, Steve, does anybody have any?
While we're here, I had to update on the flood map situation. I talked with Dan Dalkey. And the county, what we talked about is getting the county to manage it and us sharing the fees with them. Well, the county doesn't have any like that. They don't have any building codes. They really don't have a whole subdivision ordinance per se. So what they are doing is when they talk to the 911 addressing folks, when somebody goes in and applies for a new address, they pick up the phone, they call Dan, and Dan looks at it. So that's not the best way to do it. I think that may be the best way we got available to do it.
Doesn't address new construction on existing zip code.
That's right. If you got an existing address, maybe we'll not address it. Now, what happened, what happened with the county, they actually got, somehow FEMA audited them, and they were not checking all the new construction. So they were required to go back from the time that the ordinance was implemented to the current date, and they had to go back and pay surveyors to go in and do a flood elevation certification for each business or residence that had come online during that time. He said it was very expensive. They gave them plenty of time, but it was very expensive to go back and do that. That's right. And again, that's not the best, that's maybe not the best way to do it, but it may be the best way we have available to do it right now.
So is that what you're suggesting, maybe that we,
I think so. Did you find out anything about that?
The holidays.
Opportunity?
The holidays, get in touch with it, but, yeah, without a person to actually physically go to the location of new construction, wherever that may be, without a person actually doing that for the county, from the city. Then you look at the next level, 911.
All right.
See, they had a lady up there that I met. I went up there when I was trying to get mine straightened out, and she was over and all gung ho and everything, but then last I heard, she's gone and they didn't replace her.
Yeah,
And Dan's taken over what they do. What we need to do is get St. Clair County to establish their own government. We, our little town's trying to deal with all this individually and stuff. I mean-
Simplified building code that they have.
That addresses,
They have a code inspection person that helps the smaller municipalities.
And the-
And the smaller municipalities sharing the cost of that person doing that.
and then, you know, they got people out in the county that need it just as bad as we do.
And more so.
Yeah.
And if that's, I did that with one thing, very, very extremely simple, almost not use of building code, just so they can say they have one, and then they just go check to see if they have electricity connections.
And then they can handle the subdivisions and stuff too.
So do you suggest we maybe talk to somebody in the county and see if we
Well,
can?
that's what he's done, but what we're suggesting is that encourage the county to staff a person like that, to subscribe that service to cities like Argo, and the city of Argo sharing the cost, and all of a sudden, if you have a couple of those, then you've got that person paid for at the county level.
And it can grow from there.
It can grow from there. All it takes is a simple agreement by statute that allows the cities and the county to share in that cost and that service, and that person can provide service to the city of Argo.
So do you want to go to the county and see if you can talk to them about that and see if we
I'll
can,
go with it.
and see if we can, maybe talk them into, working with us on it?
Yeah, where does that start? Who does that start with?
Well, that's absolutely a county commission authorization to staff the department.
Breakfast with Ken Crow last Saturday. He said anything we needed like that, we could just come to.
And if you did that, you could pocket half the fee and give them half the fee. And they go like a couple times, and all of a sudden, you
And a little bit of revenue.
revenue, and they've covered their costs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
And
that's,
bill for adding services that way.
that would be my concern, is if they come in and we have to go back and have these certificates generated by a surveyor, you know, we're getting into some, so I think we need to go ahead and do something. And if this process takes a while, then maybe we need to at least go down and talk with that 911 folks and get them to looking out for us. And maybe we get our police and fire folks, if they see something new built, you know, within the city limits, to notify us. Because we actually have an ordinance in place, and we have a requirement that somebody actually files when they build something, but there's no way to catch them. I don't mean just catch them, but there's no way for them to report.
So there's no permit, you
Right.
don't have to come get a permit to build any.
That's correct. Here or at the county.
And you can build it in the floodplain.
Yeah.
And that's our biggest concern right now, is the floodplain stuff, but the rest of it we need to address too.
Okay, so y'all gonna do, talk with the county commission and report back to us at a later date, once you talk to them?
And it might be a good idea to check with other municipalities and see how many municipalities feel the same way. We went with several municipalities that share the same interests and the same concerns.
But we need to stay in our county. There-
I'm not about our county, I'm talking about in municipalities within St. Clair County.
She's saying
Leagues,
Go to the
leagues,
county, go
leagues
to the county,
statewide.
go to the county commission with
Yeah.
other municipalities within the county.
Well, I think we can talk to Ken Crow and get the ball rolling, and he can talk to the rest of the commission, and then we can go.
See what other municipalities, because we're all in the same boat.
That's right, if 10 of us go up there as opposed to just us,
Right, right.
carry a little more weight.
You've
Well,
already
we'll
done,
talk to Ken Crow first instead of
you've already done
ambushing
some
them.
homework before you get there.
So we equip you with the statute that allows this to happen.
Okay.
And I think you should have it, they say they're not sure if they're legally authorized to do it. You need to be sure. I can support it.
Okay, does anybody else have anything else?
I have one small thing. I've had a couple of requests for a winter cleanup. One person on Facebook said just, you know, it would help to do away with Christmas cardboard and that kind of stuff. I told them I would bring it up, so I'm bringing it up. I'm not totally in favor of it because of the expense that we incurred last time was a little over $2,000.
Why don't we adjust our time to where one does hit this time of year?
When are we having it now? We're having one in,
We had, well, the fall and the spring and the fall is free. So then we added one for the summer. There was discussion of the last council to have 4 a year. The city would pay for 2, and then the advanced disposal would do 2 free. So the one that we paid for was a little over $2,000. I feel like 3 is adequate. If we could take those 3 and have them every 4 months, then it would still be, more or less hitting the whole year. Right now, the weather is pretty non-predictable. And how many people in the month of January want to clean out things to, I feel like
I
there's
like
a
the
lot
idea of
going on in
every 4
everybody's
months. I
life.
think if we do it every 4 months, that would be pretty sufficient for our,
That would give us
And we
3,
usually go over a
2
weekend
free, and we'll get.
on them, don't we? 2 weekends.
From Saturday to Saturday.
So surely within that week, they'll have a decent day to drag their stuff
Yeah,
up here.
yeah.
okay, does anybody else have
But it-
anything else?
Right after Christmas. Then we just go to the spring and fall, and like you're talking about early fall, make it early fall or so.
Do October.
September, October, yeah.
You had something else?
Yeah, kind of on that same line, someone had asked me about the possibility of getting a recycling.
We've
Being up
talked
here.
about that, and my plan was, the first of the year, was to have Mr. Scholl come out. I've talked to some other municipalities to see what they do, how they operate theirs that uses advanced disposal, and what fees their residents pay. And that has been talked about, and I, just waiting on the first of the year, things to settle down, and we'll get him out here and
I think,
kind of lay out.
It used to
what
be
other
mandated.
municipalities do.
is it not required by law for our garbage pickup people to provide for recycling too?
Only if it's in your negotiating your contract with them.
Yeah, and we don't have a contract.
Well,
There's no contract in place with them.
That's
it's,
a different number.
it's through St. Clair County.
I always tell me it's through y'all,
It's just,
the garbage.
it is through us, but we don't have a contract. The good news is we don't have a contract, the bad news is we have a contract.
This is a good law, you can negotiate that.
You know one?
Yeah, and I have checked with the municipalities to see,
They know me.
they're getting, I feel like, more services for sometimes. But it's never been pursued, as far as recycling and things like that, it's never, recycling bins and them to pick up. I mean, there's a number of things that they do for other municipalities that we've just never negotiated with them to do for Argo.
In the past 2 years, we've had success with advance and 2 for municipal clients.
Yeah, I
Do we
mean,
do the same thing with charter?
they're very open to that. I mean, they're on board. When we can set up a meeting, they're on
You might want
board.
to even think about considering bidding and not to get the loan and whatnot.
We did that at Springville. I was the one that brought that up. I wanted to bid it. And the waste, whatever that guy's, Alabama Waste Service at that time, it's morphed into whoever's at Margaret, at Moody, now at the landfill. But he said, well, you're getting the cheapest rate you're gonna get, and this, that, and the other. And he said, ain't no way you'll get any cheaper. And we found that we all got it $10 a month cheaper.
And the additional services.
And they got the low bid.
The additional services negotiated as part of it, that you get out, some of the benefits that you get, and they'll compete against each other. And technically, you're not supposed to extend those contracts for very long before the vendor on the party or we get
For
those.
that reason, yeah. Well, one thing that I'm sure all of the citizens of Argo are too, is appreciative of the fact that the last 5 years, they've done these 2 cleanups for us free. And now that we've paid for one, we see what they have contributed to the community. which is right at $30,000, if we had been paying for the 2 cleanup weeks that they have done for free. So,
And I've negotiated cleanup days, free cleanup days with that same company on a couple of occasions. That's part of the contract.
And,
yeah, I definitely think it's something we can sit down.
the contract is a lot more money than you think too, that if they're saving 30,000, if they're keeping us
Well, I
happy with
say
30,000,
Let's see, there's five,
that's peanuts.
yeah, 5,000 times 6 years, $100,000.
But if,
Yeah, I mean, it's been a huge asset for the community, but it's
but
peanuts
at
to
the
do
same
it.
time, it's $750,000 contract, it's Springville.
Does the city get free pickup, rubber pickup? If they're lucky. We should be.
I think it's $88. Yeah.
What is our garbage pickup?
I'd have to look it up, see the right
I
number.
think it's $88 every time.
Like every couple of weeks.
What's the number?
That's
No, it's quarterly.
Quarterly.
Our dumpster out here is
Oh, we're up to right there.
And the only reason I'm saying that figure is because we had it picked up one time, it was used as a part of the cleanup, and then came back out here.
What we negotiated in the past is, and I want to prolong it further, is that you take care of your residents and the businesses. Once you negotiate with your residents, you can also at the same time negotiate part of that franchise, and the ceiling on for new business contracts in the city too. At the same time, they're helping the local businesses keep their garbage pickup low. And there's one store here and one store there charge 2 different rates on the same, not the same rate.
Well, what it is now is businesses can negotiate themselves. I've moved from one to another, and they're cutthroats, I'm telling you, it's like Pepsi and Coke. I don't know if we'd help businesses or not.
Well, you can consist in the market, that's what you think of.
Anybody have anything else?
Real quick.
Okay, good.
I got a request on the road up here, Wires at, where it goes up next to this lake. There's a drop off the edge of that road. And someone had asked about getting the county to get put some guardrail up there.
In that back curve, they've done a lot of risks.
That would be Corky's and Ronnie's thing to go out and look at that and then get them to fill out a form. Whoever requested to get them to come in or send the form in. And then Ronnie and Corky can go out and look at that
Can
and,
they get online and get forms yet? Can they email them? Probably not.
she could email them to her.
She can email them to them.
So just, get them to go on there, call Amanda, she just email them a form, they send it back to
Is
her.
the water line up here on the hill, is it not coming up tonight? Up on Woodland Ridge?
No, he tabled that because Mr. Howard wants to come in and talk to.
Okay. I rode up there and did some measuring and stuff.
Yeah, but no, it's not coming out.
Can we have some public comments before y'all get started?
Sure.
Okay, I would like to address the Ethan Frazier annexation. I have a major issue with that. Being a citizen of Argo, I have a problem with people just being able to buy a home and decide that their hypothetical children aren't going to go to a school that they want them to go to, so they want to just leave the city. That sets a precedent for all of us to be able to approach y'all and say, we want to be out of the city of Argo. And there's no reason to have a city of Argo if you're going to let people leave the city. He has this piece of property that he can sell and he can move to Trustful, or he could save the money living in Argo and use the money that he won't be paying for property taxes in Trustful and send his kids to private school. That's my piece.